All right. What is a 5,000-year-old physical, mental, and spiritual ancient wisdom practice that cleanses and balances the body, mind, and spirit? If you're thinking yoga, you're right. My name is Elizabeth Sawyer, and for my senior project, I chose to research the many benefits of yoga. I committed myself to a regular practice of yoga to see whether I would encounter these benefits myself. Around the time I was thinking about what to do for my senior project, I was also going through physical therapy for a foot injury. In physical therapy, I had to do a lot of balancing and strengthening exercises, and although I had a very limited knowledge of yoga, I thought that it had to do with some balancing and strengthening positions, so I thought that this might help expedite my recovery from my foot injury. And I had done yoga a few times, but only in gym classes or practices for my sports teams. So I decided that senior project would be the perfect opportunity for me to commit to this exercise I had always found intriguing and to see how it could help me with my injury. Although I had planned to research yoga as a means of injury prevention or treatment, I found so much information on the other advantages that yoga can provide that I decided to focus my paper on the broader topic of just the several benefits that participants can experience from yoga. So my controlling statement for my paper is, in addition to providing the numerous mental and physical health benefits that people identify with yoga, the regular practice of yoga can also act as effective alternative medicine in multiple areas, ranging from injury prevention to the improved functioning of body systems. I researched the physical benefits of yoga, including increased strength and flexibility, the mental benefits of yoga, including increased ability to relax and manage stress, the efficacy of yoga as a form of safe exercise that can prevent injury, and yoga as a means of promoting more effective functioning of body systems. So through writing my paper, I learned that yoga is effective and safe exercise and can even promote better bone health, thus decreasing the risk of bone injuries. So for example, one study that I found, a doctor had 11 of his 18 patients practice yoga for at least 10 minutes every day for 2 years. And these 11 patients who practiced yoga increased the bone density in their hip and spinal bones, while the 7 patients who did not practice yoga lost bone over the 2-year period. And Anne Rush, author of multiple books related to health and well-being, describes in detail that after each pose in yoga is assumed, the individual holds the position alertly for as long as possible. This adds a crucial isometric aspect to yoga and builds muscle strength without pounding or tearing. So this makes yoga the ideal pastime for anyone looking for a safe exercise, looking to become stronger, because it is an effective but safe way to do so. And Rush emphasizes this by asserting that yogis can increase their strength without losing suppleness, injuring yourself, or suffering negative side effects. Another thing I learned from my paper was that so much of yoga is mental, and yoga can have really far-reaching positive effects on practitioners' mental health. So yoga helps with stress management, and experts at the Sivananda Yoga Center contend that one of yoga's most valuable benefits is that it helps its practitioners manage stress, which can be truly devastating to both the mind and the body. So some of the negative things that can develop out of stress includes back or neck pain, sleeping problems, headaches, drug abuse, and inability to concentrate. So with increased yoga practice, you can help to mediate these other negative side effects from stress. And some research even indicates that practicing yoga regularly can increase brain mass. So through the use of MRI scans, Dr. Villemure at the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine detected more gray matter, which are brain cells, in MRIs of patients who practiced yoga regularly. And these were in certain brain areas that are like key for visualizing your body. So the somatosensory cortex, which holds a mental map of the body, the superior parietal cortex, which directs attention, and the hippocampus, pictured here, which is involved in coping with stress and with your memory, were all enlarged in the MRI scans of regular yoga practitioners. I also learned that yoga can be effective as alternative medicine in various health problems. So yoga, since it can help alleviate stress and help its practitioners manage stress, can cause lower blood pressure, improved heart function, and yoga can help to lessen the symptoms of some chronic diseases and can help with depression, pain, anxiety, and insomnia. For my fieldwork, I went to a 90-minute heated yoga class once a week at Synergy Power Yoga in Barrington from November to February, and I went to several classes taught by Gretchen Mayhew, my mentor, but also went to classes taught by other instructors so I could experience different styles of teaching and different levels of difficulty. I had seen Gretchen in action, that's Gretchen. I had seen her in action as an instructor before I even approached her about my senior project because she had helped my cross-country team go through some routines and practice a few years ago. And I thought that she would be a perfect mentor because she has over 15 years of experience with yoga. I began my fieldwork on November 11th with a basic class, and basic classes involve fewer poses. This is the description from the studio's website about the difference between the basic and power classes. Basic classes focus on alignment, breathing, and just the fundamental skills you need for yoga, and they recommend about 6 basic classes before attending a power class. The power classes include back bends, arm balances, and inversions, which is upside down, headstands, which are much more challenging. So through my fieldwork, I learned that yoga is a challenging physical exercise. Because I had done yoga as a so-called easy day during cross-country practices or on my other sports teams, I never really considered it to be a very hard workout, but rather an easy and relaxing, manageable type of exercise. However, the classes definitely challenged me physically, and having to hold poses in 90 to 95 degree heat was something I had never experienced before. It seemed as if I left each class sweatier than the last, and I was also challenged physically when I took my first power vinyasa classes, because as I said, these involve some poses like headstands, which I am still pretty bad at, but it's a lot more challenging when you're taking power classes that include more types of poses. So yoga has shown me that exercise does not necessarily have to be competitive, loud, or involve a ball in order to be challenging. And I also learned the importance of breathing, because during my first few classes, I was focusing on how my poses measured up to everyone else in the room, and my breathing was the last thing on my mind. But once I had been a few more times, I listened to the instructors continuously reminding us to think about your breathing. And when I did this, I realized that it helped me to fully relax and find a place where I was mentally in tune with my body. I also learned from my fieldwork the importance of the mental aspect of yoga. So before I began my fieldwork, the exercise I participated in was almost entirely team sports. So I associated exercise with competition. However, yoga gave me a completely different perspective, and Gretchen helped me learn that yoga is not to be considered something that you do, but rather something that you experience. So no one can really be the best at yoga because it's an experience that is entirely individual. And here are some pictures of my favorite poses. The one on the top left is upward facing dog, and there's me in a bridge. This is child's pose. Tree pose is my personal favorite, and my balance wasn't great when I started, especially considering my foot injury, but as I practiced more I got better. And half moon used to be a really shaky pose for me on the left, but I have been able to improve. That's downward facing dog, classic. Okay. The link between my paper and fieldwork is that they were each an exploration of the benefits of yoga. So while I found many sources praising yoga and detailing the positive effects participants could gain from the practice, my fieldwork allowed me to truly test the findings from my paper for myself. So my paper and fieldwork connect in several instances. For example, I write in my paper that yoga helps practitioners manage stress. The calm and composed mental state that I was able to assume and practice while in yoga definitely gave me greater stress management skills, and I learned how to relax my mind and achieve a full presence in the moment, which I found I could apply to any instance in which I was faced with a challenging task, whether it be schoolwork or sports or social situations. And my fieldwork allowed me to come to the conclusion that this benefit of greater stress relief is in fact valid. I also write in my paper that yoga is a form of effective exercise that is also safer than impact sports. And I believe that yoga provided me with a quality workout while putting me at less of a risk for injuries commonly experienced in impact sports. I spent my winter practicing yoga instead of participating in indoor track, which is the sport during which I contracted this foot injury the year before. And I might even have avoided this injury if I had divided my time earlier between running and then a low impact exercise such as yoga. And my fieldwork allowed me to really see the proof behind the research I had found attesting to yoga's safety. The learning stretch for me was regularly taking a class in an activity that I had never done consistently before. So while yoga was not completely foreign to me, I had a very limited knowledge of it, and it was very challenging for me to start a new form of exercise that involves a very different skill set from the sports I have played for years. And one of the greatest challenges was learning to let my mind go. So with my busy schedule of school, sports, and activities, an hour and a half of almost complete quiet is the perfect recipe for a busy mind. So I instinctively would think about like what I had to do later that day or later that week, instead of focusing on my body and my breathing. But my mind would be readily wandering, but with continuous practice and focus, I could end up finding a state where my mind was clear, and this is one of the most integral, important aspects of effectively practicing yoga. Another challenge I encountered was with the poses. So I'm used to competitive sports, so I wanted to be able to do everything as well as everyone else in the room. However, yoga was new to me and I wasn't the best. But I had to get used to the idea that it wasn't about being the best in the room. It was instead about finding an inner peace and connection with your body. So persevering and trying my hardest in the most challenging poses and not worrying about what I looked like helped me to improve my poses. Through the senior project experience, I learned that I can try a new activity and excel in it with effort and perseverance. Despite the challenges, I was able to see several benefits of yoga come to fruition, and I improved as I continued the classes. The thing I value most about Senior Project was that it allowed me to devote 90 minutes a week to my mind and body. I came to look forward to each session because it was a chance for me to clear my head of the constant thinking and worrying that subconsciously and habitually crowd our mind every day. And my Senior Project will be very valuable to me in the future because I have developed a love for and reliance on yoga. I can honestly say that I will be doing yoga for the rest of my life. So my Senior Project has given me the opportunity to throw myself into a new exercise I had always been interested in and see if the real thing lived up to the hype. I found my project extremely rewarding, and I am a true believer in the benefits of yoga that I researched. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
I have 11:49.
Yeah, you had 11 seconds to spare.
I skipped like a chunk too.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh,
saw her.
I feel like you could have ended. Senior project was extremely valuable. I will do yoga for the rest of my life. I feel like you almost need that little buffer.
Yeah.
Because you're pacing and you're phrasing and you're looking up, and that was all wonderful. But I feel like you're riding the rails.
Yeah, I even skipped. Like I had to just figure out what I was gonna skip.
Yeah. What did you make a decision to skip?
I just was going to say after I said I can honestly say I'll be doing it for the rest of my life, I had like yoga is this practice I can turn to when I don't want to sacrifice safety for effective exercise. I've already talked about that.
Yes.
So like I don't need.
I mean, it's nicely put.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a nice wrap up, but
Okay.
I really think you need to end right at where I had you was at 11:30.
Okay.
Which is plenty. I mean, you've
Okay.
said it. In fact, you do go back to your learning stretch. I thought you were getting into your learning stretch at 6:58, at almost 7 minutes. You talked a lot about how the breathing was different for you. It was something you hadn't done before.
Yeah.
Your new understanding of fitness, what fitness and what exercise are.
Yeah.
Your mental attunement to your body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are all stretches.
Yeah.
You didn't call it that, and it was fine. You didn't need to. Good fresh perspective. It's not a team sport. I feel like you were a little redundant at the end when you said, "So here's my learning stretch," and I wonder if you're clinging to that to reinforce the stretch because you're worried that your judge won't understand that that's your stretch.
Okay.
But I did hear it. I just wanted to reassure you.
Okay.
I did hear it at 6:58.
Okay.
No